Is it Marie? Oops,
Mhm.
go ahead.
Good morning, and welcome to Wednesday Wisdom, October 9th. It is hard to believe that it's already the fall. But today, our topic is going to be how to host a make and take event. And it's been so fun to host several of these over the past few years. And let's give a warm welcome to my amazing mother, Terry Seacrest, as well. Good morning.
Good morning, Elizabeth. I'm excited because I get all your make and takes. You give them to me. So I think everybody's really in for a treat today.
Ah, well, thank you. You know what's so fun about the make and takes is that oftentimes we have extras left over, and that is what then we get to give out as gifts to our friends and family and team members that win prizes and all sorts of things like that. So it is just so much fun getting to host one of these events because it truly is something that we can, share with our team, and we'll talk about who do you want to invite. So you can share with your team, of course, but sometimes I'll just open it up to friends and family that aren't even Young Living members yet. And the fun thing about that is it's like a non-intrusive way to share about what we're passionate about with the essential oils in a way that is really fun for others to just join in and get to experience the essential oils and then get to take things home. So, a few things we're going to dive into first is actually the aspect of, let me see here. Okay. The aspect of, who are you wanting to invite? So, how about this for Zoom today? Go ahead and hopefully you'd like to do one of these make and take events. So, grab a piece of paper, and as we're going through these things, I'd love you to make notes. So, the first note um, is who do we want to invite? And we're going to go into some ideas on that in just a minute. Then we're going to think about what is the best day, time, location. Then, inviting folks, how do you best reach your team members and your friends and family? Then, what make and take items do you want to have available? So we'll talk about like how to choose recipes, um, finding the ingredients, where to purchase things from, things like that. Um, it's really fun to have some snacks and some drinks at the make and take events. So we can talk about fun ideas for that. And then last but not least, just setting the atmosphere. And what atmosphere do you want to create? Do you want to create kind of a fun, low light, dim evening type of setting where maybe you're sipping on a Nature Red mimosa or mocktails, or do you want it to be like bright and cheery during the day type of thing? And so this is all things that you get to decide. And that is the fun of, creating your own make and take event. So when we come to this aspect of who to invite, you know, there's a lot of females a part of Young Living. Obviously, most of us on today. However, there's definitely some fun guys' recipes, of which I didn't create as many of those today. However, a lot of what we're talking about can include some of those oils that guys really enjoy as well. And so, do you want to invite like your mother, your daughter, husbands, wives? Do you want it to be like a girlfriend's night out? So guys get to keep the kids at home. All the ladies get to come out and have fun. Is it any and all of your local Young Living team? Friends and family, like church small group. I have really enjoyed inviting folks from my church. Quite a lot of my friends and folks from church are on our Young Living team because along the way they've needed, some of the Young Living products. However, then there's others that know what I do and know that our other friends are in it, but they just haven't joined suit yet. And so those are the ones that really enjoy coming to the make and takes. Sometimes they sign up, sometimes they don't, but they still get more infused in the experience of essential oils.
Hey, Elizabeth,
Yeah.
I know this doesn't exactly sound like a make and take, but in a way it is. For anybody that doesn't know this, I just love doing cooking parties.
Oh, yeah.
And So the cooking parties are a great way to introduce somebody on actually making food with essential oils and also baking with essential oils. And therefore, I invite neighbors that I've never met before, people that live right in my neighborhood, in my
Mhm.
community. And
Mhm.
oh my goodness, they are so popular. So that's another way to do it as far as with food.
Yes, definitely. That's a great way to do it too. And so, are you talking about maybe where you highlight the food and then you have just one or two make and take things that they can also do?
Well, I don't have time to do both. So what I do is I call it make and take because I will make something like my homemade organic cinnamon rolls with
Mm.
cinnamon bark oil, but I'll always make extra for them to take home to their husband.
Oh, fun.
So yeah, or I'll do my beef and broccoli pie with thyme, oregano, and black pepper.
Mm-hmm.
And they take a piece of the pie home to their husband. Oh my gosh, they're hooked. Their husband's like, honey, when are you going back to Terry's house? You know?
Right,
So
right.
that kind of, so it's kind of a make and take, but it's food.
Exactly. That's wonderful. That's wonderful. So you do it more the food style versus the actual taking of the items. What we could do this year, if you want, is you focus on the food part. I could come up with some of the recipes for like a simple bath salt or room spray.
Oh,
Then we could
definitely.
double it.
Oh yeah, let's do it, girl. You're on. Game on.
Game on.
I
And
like this idea. I'm thinking to myself, can you broadcast in Zoom? I would love to see it.
we probably could.
That
Let's
would
do
be
it.
cool.
I guarantee you'll see dough everywhere on the
I love it.
dough
Oh,
flying
oh yeah.
everywhere. And when we're waiting for a recipe, we often turn on music and dance. Just saying,
Yay!
so Elizabeth, we got to do it, girl.
Let's do
That's
it.
so cool.
So, can you see here? We just talked this through and figured out mom's expertise is food. My expertise is the make and take items. We pool our efforts together, and it really is a lot of fun doing this with at least one other team member so that you can bounce ideas off of each other. You share the prep, you share the cleanup, all the wonderful things before and
Right.
after. But it is great incorporating the team in the leadership of an event.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah, love it.
Okay, let me get back
Awesome.
to.
Don't take too long to get to the make and takes. I'm getting kind of curious here.
Oh, I know. Okay, here we go. Gonna pin myself again. Awesome. Okay, so moving on. So these are just some simple things. Think about the day of the week that would work best for the individuals you would like to invite. So, for instance, Mother and I a few weeks ago were invited to our church because all of the moms get together on a Friday morning and they bring their children, and so the mom and babies hang out. And it was really fun because for that, we essentially did a make and take, and it looked like making this really neat spray with the essential oils from the Bible oils kit. And so, wasn't that cool, Mom? Is that the babies were
Oh,
playing, the moms all sat around the table and made sprays.
yeah, they freaked out over it and they were begging us for an extra one to give to somebody. They're like, can we just buy an extra one so we could give it to so and so? It
Mm-hmm.
was hugely popular.
Yep. Yep. So cool. So then time of the day, morning, noon, night, what time is going to work best for the folks? Think of if it's older folks, you may not want to have them out after dark. If it's moms with kids, think about when nap times might be. And honestly, what I like to do is I think of the folks I want to invite, and then I reach out to them and actually ask them, hey, is there a good day and time for you? And
Mhm.
you may or may not want to do that because you're going to get the popcorn of this works for me, this for me, and then it can be a bit of a headache, but at the same time, you really do want the people you want there to be able to be there. So
Mhm.
think about that. And then of course the location. Like, is it at your home? Is it at another location? For instance, at the end of October, we're going to do a make and take at the Lift Coffee Shop here in Kerrville. Corey is opening that up to us, and we're going to actually make the roll-ons with the oils from the Bible. So that'll be our fall October make and take, and we're hosting it at the coffee shop because it's a really neutral location, and then folks can actually purchase drinks and food from the coffee shop, as well as I have a feeling we'll make our own special something just to give away as something that folks don't have to pay for. So that's an option too. If you really don't want to open your home, or you just don't feel comfortable having a bunch of people in your home, or it's not the right size, whatever it is, don't let that limit you, because I bet you anything you could find even like an arts and crafts store that has a back room that would allow you to come, because it's a gift giving type of thing. If they are willing to market it and promote it, then how awesome. You could end up getting new customers that way, because a totally new business is promoting your event. So there's
Hey, Elizabeth, I want to also mention to the beautiful ladies in Sweden
Mhm.
that when we started teaching classes in Lift Coffee Shop, the manager of the shop has told me that they have increased their customer base, almost doubled their customer base
Oh.
because of us coming in there, Elizabeth.
Yeah.
So that is kind of a good selling point. If you approach a coffee shop, you can always use us as an example and let them know that you'd love to teach some classes in there and that it really could have that potential. So just food for thought.
The first two classes we taught, the folks that came had never been to Lift Coffee.
Mhm.
And after then, they'd become regular customers.
Yeah.
Yep. So, and they will actually even go in there now. And if our next class hasn't been posted, they go find Corey and they're like, Corey, when's our next oil class? What are we doing next? So it's really fun
Yeah.
that the momentum is growing. So honestly, you could even think about when you're doing this initial class, think of the next class. Maybe you want to teach an essential oil 101 or a thieves class all about how to use thieves in the fall. Maybe you want to push it forward and just say, hey, I'm going to do a class in January. Let's get through the holidays. We'll host something in January and use this make and take as a promotion for a future, more product-based educational class that you want to do. So there's an idea. So as far as marketing, if you've hosted classes before, we've probably all learned these little things. If people don't know about it, they don't show up. Don't let them know 2 days beforehand, because I have been guilty of doing that. No joke. I've got this class, I've done all the prep. Oh my goodness, I forgot to actually tell anybody what's going on. And so then it was the slew of text messages that went out, and about an eighth of the people that I invited were able to join. Don't do that. You might be disappointed, and know that you can do better. Anyways, personal bloopers. So an interesting thing is so many of our team is on social media, so definitely utilize that. Utilize your personal Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, all of that. Do some reels. Definitely create a graphic for the class. Canva is a great thing to use. That's what I use, but there's so many others out there. So I do recommend creating a graphic. Why? Because if you want to invite people on your team and then tell them, hey, invite your friends that might be interested, that's the easiest way for them to share the information, is just when it's already on a graphic that they don't have to be typing and copying and pasting and things like that. Definitely have people RSVP. One of the best ways to do that is just for a person to send you a text message. If you're on Facebook, you could create a Facebook event and, of course, have people, register for the event type of thing. But even with that, follow-up is really good, because a lot of times people will say going on a Facebook event, but then they totally forget about it 2 weeks later. So there we go. So definitely that aspect of follow-up is huge. So here we go. Invite the folks, follow up with them, get RSVPs, send a reminder 1 week out, and then also send a reminder 3 days before the event. And that is how I've had the most success getting folks to any class, make and take, or an educational class. And it may feel like a lot of effort to you, but oh my goodness, that follow-up is like absolutely key. There we go. So here's my idea. You could say something simple like, this is what I'll do. I'll text my friends and I'll go, hey, I so look forward to seeing you at my make and take class at my house on Friday at 5 p.m. And let me know if you have any questions. See you then. That's it. Because they've already said they're going. So you're just sending a little reminder. And I have gotten so many messages back. Oh, thank you for reminding me. I totally forgot. I forgot to put it on my calendar, whatever. So there
I
we go.
love that, Elizabeth. And I also like to say to them, because it's very, very true, just reminding you space is super limited and I have reserved a seat for you. So, I'm just excited you to come. I have a reserved seat for you. Confirm that you'll be there.
Yes. Yes. There you go. Good ideas. Alrighty, so now we are getting to the recipes, which I know Mother is extremely excited about. So here's just a few types of recipes that have worked really well for me and are simple because there are so many recipes out there and you can get really complicated with the ingredients. But things like roll-ons, things like oil-infused Epsom salts, a sugar scrub, a moisture balm. That's a little bit more intense because the one that I specifically make does require heating it in a pan on the stove, but I'm giving you the recipe with great instructions today. For guys, a beard oil, and for women, a hair oil. And so those are fun. And then last but not least, something super simple would just be a room spray. So these are all ones that are simple. Now, I'm going to take a pause. Has anyone, Beverly would be a perfect example. She tried to make the shower bombs and you mold it and you do this and it takes forever. And she said it was a total flop. It took like 5 hours out of her week to try to make these shower bombs. They didn't even look good when they turned out. And so one thing is I would say don't make a recipe for the first time at your first make and take. That's thing number one. Go ahead and make it ahead of time so that you know how to make it, you know what the time frame is and things like that, right? And keep it simple for your first make and take, for sure.
100%, 100%.
Because we have all had bloopers. I've had bloopers for sure, and those bath bombs are not the most wonderful thing to do, I would say. Okay, so here's actually just a few tips, okay? So tips to make your job as a host easier is if you choose 3 to 5 items to make, then what's really nice is you can choose overlapping ingredients. For instance, choose like 5 to 10 oils and only use those oils in your different recipes. Because why? Those may be oils that you already have on hand because they're your favorites. Maybe they're ones you're willing to purchase. But keep it simple. Also, because people are going to ask you, well, hey, what's this good for? Hey, I really like the smell. So conversation is going to start happening about the oils that you're using as ingredients. And if you have too much, then you don't get to focus as much on each individual oil and its benefits and why a person may want to use it type of thing. How does that sound?
If I could just interject, Elizabeth, when I did one of my cooking parties, while we were waiting on a recipe, I noticed that ladies were in little groups of 2 and 3 talking, right? And they were talking about like kind of their favorite oils and this and that. It just created an amazing conversation. Well, the next day, I went on to their loyalty orders and noticed that they had jumped from 100 PV up to 300 PV. Almost every single person.
Yeah.
About 8 out of 10 had jumped up to the 300 PV just because these women were in little groups of 2 and 3 talking about their favorite oils.
Oh yeah. That was great. I remember that time. And this gal was talking about something here and this talking about something over there. And they just all inspired each other so much.
Yeah.
So as the host, definitely try to inspire conversations like that amongst people. You know, part of setting the atmosphere of the room is helping get conversation going. Maybe you start it and you say, hey, okay, cedarwood, you know, we're going to go ahead, and if you want to add cedarwood to your Epsom salt bath, here's some great benefits to it. Now, who else loves cedarwood and how have you used it? And then they
Yeah, there
start
you
the
go. There you
conversation.
go.
It's less work for you, right? And they're all sharing their testimonies. Yep. Let's see here. So, oh, another thing is I choose 3 sizes of jars. Usually I choose a 4-ounce glass jar and maybe and then you could do like an 8 to a 12 ounce. For instance, like the bath salts are nice in about a bigger 12-ounce jar that has one of those cool lids that opens and closes with the little lock on it. And why do we do that? Just because it's pretty. You don't have to. Those are more expensive. However, another neat thing is if you would like to charge for this, you can. And that I think is something, let's see here, that, you know, excuse me, here we go. Okay, so for instance, some folks are able to just spend $200 or $300 and purchase all of the ingredients, and, you know, just let this be a total fun thing for your team. And if this is your gift to your team during the holidays, you can have that in your mind as a goal. What I have personally done is I say, go ahead and join us. I'm going to be bringing and putting together all of the supplies. You can go ahead and if you want to take 4 items home, it's $20. And that's what I have figured out for the different items. So you're covering the cost of your oils, your jars, your you know, Epsom salts and things like that. So yes, you do have to have it in your budget to pre-purchase those things, but then people can show up and pay their $20, you know, in cash at the door. If you needed to figure out some other prepayment system, you could. The only reason I could think of doing that is because when a person pays for something ahead of time, they also show up. It's a bit more complicated though, because you have to figure out what system you're going to choose. So anyways, there's just my thought for it, because with our Young Living business, you know, people expect to like if you're a blessing to them, they want to be a blessing back. And so they don't want to put you out like financially or whatever if they're coming and expecting to take things. Something else
Absolutely.
I'll do, right? You know, I think that's legitimate. And another thing too is quite often people will ask me, hey, Elizabeth, I want each of these 4 things for myself, but can I create another set for friends? So you want to ask people, hey, would you like to create more than just the 4 items for yourself? If so, I'll go ahead and have enough stock on hand, you know, because Debbie, for instance, you may want to come to a make and take event and you may have it in your mind, wow, I want to create 4 or 8 other gifts at this make and take that I'm going to gift to my family for Christmas. So people do that. They use these make and take events as a way to create a homemade gift that then they go give away. And if they were to go to a store and buy that gift, right, they would pay for it. So they're more than happy to pay you for your time and effort in putting this event together. So they'll have homemade gifts. So there we go.
Okay, I am chomping at the bit to see some recipes here.
I know you are. Okay, here's our recipes. Here
Woo,
we
there we
go.
go. Can we take a photo, honey?
Yes, please. Absolutely. So, roll-on recipes, and these are just a few. So basically for a roll-on, you know, your roller bottles are the 10 milliliter roller bottles. Oh, let's see. I meant to say 15 to 20 drops. So you can add 15 to 20 drops of your favorite oil blend. And you may choose to do more than that. I think there's about 200 drops in a roller bottle because it's the 10 milliliter. But however, these roll-ons are more so not about like straight oil, but about a little bit of a diluted oil.
Mhm.
So for instance, a blend for just calming and relaxing could be your Peace and Calming blend. And then you add some of your V6 mixing oil to it, and voila, that is a super simple roll-on that you have. You could do Peace and Calming, and then you might add a little extra lavender, extra cedarwood, maybe copaiba. So these are just some very basic ideas for roll-ons. For instance, like your joy, that's a great emotional one and like a happy one this time of year. And so you could just do your joy oil blend, or you could think about other oils that accent joy. Like maybe you want to add some extra orange or tangerine, or a little bit of frankincense in there to give it some of that bold grounding aspect of it.
You know what I love about this, Elizabeth, and just thinking this through, because I use the Joy Blend all the time, but I love the idea of having it in a roller
Mm-hmm.
so that I can just roll it behind my ears
Mm-hmm.
and also on my wrist and then keep it in my purse. So I love this roll-on idea.
Yeah. Yeah. Because
Okay.
honestly, our essential oils are so potent, for instance, joy, that yes, you could just take a drop of joy and put it on your wrist, but
Mhm.
that's actually very fragrant.
Mhm. Yeah.
And yes, Louise Marie, I am going to try to figure out how to let you share. Okay, I'm going to make you a co-host so
Yeah.
that you can jump on and share if you'd like.
I just have a question to you, everyone, because you are very good at this, and I am pretty new. I started in, what was it, Mia? Was it in spring or something? March, I think. March,
April?
April, yes, something like that.
Mm-hmm.
And when you like, and I'm all keen on seeing all these recipes and so on, even though I can't smell any oils right now because I just got COVID. But there was, I think there was an oil that you could use to drain your nose, but that isn't what I'm going to ask. When you write these recipes, you say you use Peace and Calming blend, or you use Joy blend and so on. How many of each of the special
Drops.
oil do you take into your mixing oil, into your because I don't think you take 10 of each. No.
So what I would probably do is, that's a great question. Thank you for jumping on and asking. So 15 to 20 drops total in the roller bottle, is like a very conservative amount. So
Yeah.
you may do 10 drops of Peace and Calming, and then 5 drops of lavender and 5 drops of cedarwood, and that would equal your 20 drops.
Mhm.
And once
Okay.
you have
And
your
then add your V6 mixing oil.
Yeah, and then once you have the blend that you like the smell of and you think it's a good ratio, then you can finish filling it up with the V6 mixing oil.
Okay. Thank you
Yeah.
so much for thank you.
For sure. Now, granted, the more drops you use of the essential oil is going to be more cost, right? But if the roller bottle holds 200 drops of essential oil and you wanted to make it really potent, you could do 50 drops of essential oil. Like for myself, maybe I would do 50 drops of essential oil, which is about a quarter of that roller bottle filled with your essential oil. And then the rest of the 3/4 of it filled with the V6 mixing oil.
Mhm.
Yeah. So it really depends on how potent you want it to be, and also what your cost analysis of it is, maybe. Hopefully that's helpful. So just
Well, she's bringing up a good point also, Elizabeth. I was using some recipes from Young Living for, a make and take, and it really wasn't as strong as I like it. So I do think it's very personal. You can really add drops to make it strong as you like it.
Mm-hmm.
And maybe less is more also.
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
It depends, but okay. Well, I see Mia wants to ask something now.
Oh, Mia. Okay, let's see. Mia. Here we
No,
go.
but I was just thinking about the bottles. They're normally pictured brown. Is that necessary?
It's not necessary. What's really interesting is on Amazon, for instance, that's where I buy my roller bottles. They come in clear white, they come in brown, they even come in like a cool blue tint or a red tint. And so personally, I don't think that it matters. What matters is that you keep the oils in a room temperature location so they don't get too hot. And Young Living specifically uses brown bottles so that less light gets into the bottle and touches the oil. But if it's something like a roll-on that you're going to be using very often, and if you want it to be pretty, I don't think it necessarily has to be a brown bottle.
Mhm.
Oh, good, because I've bought about 50 of them and they're all pretty in all different colors and I love them. And this
Yeah.
is just what I need, some good
Aw.
advice and
Good.
inspiration on making roller bottles because,
Oh, maybe you could
Oh,
post
get
a
ready.
photo. Maybe you can post a photo on the Royal Dream Team when you're done making it.
Absolutely, will do. And I was
Okay.
also going to say, because I think that because I'm trying out a lot of things now, learning, and I think that some days the same oils smell more than they do other days.
Mm,
Ah, yeah.
I don't
yeah,
know.
Point.
I would agree. A lot of times it's just how our body reacts to it that day.
Yeah,
Mhm. Good
lovely.
point.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Something I would say for all the recipes is if you were ever to sell a make and take item like out at a farmer's market or something, you have to list all the ingredients that are in that bottle.
That's right.
And you're not allowed to put the words Young Living. Like you can't put essential oils by Young Living if you made it. But what I recommend is like for the roller bottles, you can get the return address stickers are a good size to stick on those. And sometimes when you get the bottles like from Amazon, they come with empty labels. And so either handwrite a label or get snazzy and do it on your printer. But for all the recipes you make at the Make and Take, you definitely want to have labels available for folks so that
Mhm.
once they get home, they know what they put in it. Usually I just have the name, like, for instance, like for the bath salts, I just put bath salts and then I let the person write the ingredients on it themselves because they're going to choose specifically what they want to put in there.
Mhm.
Yeah. Okay. So here's the next fun thing is these oil infused Epsom salts. Now, I think we all know why we love putting our essential oils in Epsom salts is because if you have a bath that you've already drawn and then you put your drops of oil in it, the essential oil and water don't mix. So that oil is just going to sit on top. And so when you get in it, what is some of the first parts of your body that may be more sensitive would be like, private parts and stuff like that, is that's where you're sitting in the water. So the thing I say at the bottom is avoid using hot oils. Like for instance, peppermint may not be one of the best essential oils to put in your bath because when you have hot water plus a hot cold oil, it absorbs very quickly into the skin because the pores of your skin are opened because of the hot water. So avoid your hot oils like oregano, lemongrass, peppermint, but then there's so many other wonderful ones like lavender, frankincense, the Peace and Calming blend, the Joy blend, Valor blend, even RC. It creates a great breathing experience when it's in your bath water. So those are all fun things that when you take, a few ounces of your Epsom salts, like at home, I just do this. I have my big jar of Epsom salts and, take a few ounces of it, add my essential oils, stir it up, and then I pour that in the bath. And that helps your essential oils bind onto the Epsom salts and emulsify through the tub. And so getting to make these jars of it is just cool because then there's a really pretty jar that someone can have on their bathroom counter by their tub type of thing. And just enjoy that. Yeah. Let's see. Debbie. Okay. Go ahead, Debbie. What was your question? I think you can talk. Whoever raised their hand. I'm trying to.
So I know that we're doing make and takes, but all of a sudden the spirit just told me, Young Living creates an amazing bath balls that you
Oh,
could
yeah.
put in your shower. And I'm thinking, because of the fact that they are not easy to make, then maybe we'll just present them as a gift, special gift at the make and takes, just because I was thinking to myself, if they're that difficult, let's just bless them with it or have it available
Mm.
for them to buy one there.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, and that's a great idea too, is just skip the making it yourself because Young Living has those bath bombs. And they're big. They're really big. I think 4 come to a package. Yeah. Yeah. And they are great for a bath. And then they have the shower bombs as well, which are like the smaller flat ones. And those are great to get the oil diffused into a shower. Yeah. So this is when I use at least like a 6-ounce jar up to a 12-ounce jar because you really want to give somebody something of substance, and Epsom salts don't cost a lot. So it's fine to give them something larger of that. Alrighty, I think we're good with that recipe unless there's any questions. Ooh, so moving on to another fairly simple one. Yes, is this coconut sugar scrub. And basically, it's kind of like an exfoliator. So when you're using it in the bathroom to wash your hands, it has the granulated sugar. So that kind of causes the friction and the rubbing. And then you have your coconut oil, which is very moisturizing, and adding your essential oils. So the essential oils in this at large are for the smell experience. So doing something like orange is great. Even the citrus fresh is great. Folks love that for more of a summertime one. For like a Christmassy smell, you could do your peppermint. You could even do winter nights would be a really beautiful blend as a coconut sugar scrub. Cedarwood, lavender, geranium. So again, think of what recipes you want to do and then choose your 10 oils that you want to have available throughout these different recipes.
Elizabeth, I have to ask your forgiveness. I have to leave for a speaking engagement, honey. I'm so sorry.
Oh, well, we
Yeah.
love you. Thank you for
Thank you.
joining.
It was great seeing you today, Terry. Love you.
Love you guys so much.
Bye.
Bye, Terry.
Bye-bye.
Beverly, sorry for interrupting, but can I ask a short question?
Please.
When you write these recipes for example, with both the Epsom salt and these with sugar scrub and everything, how do you do it? Do you just put it in and mix it up with a spoon or something, or do you have to do something special to make it blend?
Good question. Honestly, I just have a big bowl. So that's one thing is lots of big bowls. And so for the coconut sugar scrub, you can put, let me think here. For that one, I think I made that up as a big batch. Rather than having each person do 2/3 cup of coconut oil and granulated sugar, I just kind of multiplied the recipe times, like, let's say 5 people that want it. And so put a lot of each ingredient in a big bowl and you just stir it up. You don't need a mixer because I think that may break down the sugar in it. You don't want to mix it too much because you don't want the sugar to melt. So just a good hand mixer, like a whisk or even a fork or a spoon gets this mixed up pretty well. And then you could people could decide to all use the same oils. And so you just put the same oil in that big bowl and they all make the same. Or maybe you then take it and they have little smaller bowls that they can mix just their little jar of mixture with. Or if they put it in the 4-ounce container, they could probably put their own oils in there and then just kind of stir it around with a spoon. That may be a little bit harder in a small container though. So that's why I would recommend having a lot of extra small, like stainless steel works really well. I would go for stainless steel or glass rather than plastic, because plastic will soak up the smell and the flavor of your essential oils. And that same smell and flavor will end up in your next recipe. So, yeah,
Thank you.
yeah, yeah. And now, as far as how many drops of essential oil in the sugar scrub, 5 to 10 drops. It kind of depends on how fragrant you want it to be. So again, you may do 3 drops of lavender and 5 drops of geranium. Or you may do your orange and cedarwood and do half and half of that. So um, it's a little bit up to personal choice, I would say. Yeah. The other thing too, so when I've hosted the make and takes, I kind of section off an area. So if you have like a kitchen counter that's really long, maybe you can have 3 stations on that counter. So one station is just your coconut sugar scrub, your next station is your Epsom salts, and then your roll-ons. Maybe you bring in some card tables. What I've done in the past, because I had a pretty big open living room, is I had 2 6-foot long card tables. And so I think I did 2 recipes per table, and I had 5 recipes total. And so that's how ended up doing it that way. Yeah, Debbie, go ahead.
So I have a thought on, okay, if you have a smaller house that you're living in and traveling in, and you do these make and takes, because you know you're gonna have those people on the road and stuff. Could you think of like creating the batches ahead of time, most of them, and then just having them do one batch of each so they have a feeling of what they've done and accomplished, but here's all the other ones you're taking with you. So that way they're not doing as much in the small area, but they can at least have a participating part to it as well.
Yes, yes, absolutely. Something you could do too is you could already have, like for your Epsom salts, already have your jars with your Epsom salts in the jar. And the only thing the person is deciding is what oils they want, and they put it in the jar, and then they shake it up in the jar. So that's a
Excellent.
simple way to do the jars. Yep.
Okay, dokie.
Yep.
Cool.
For the room spray, you could pre-make the solution in the room spray, and all they do is add their essential oils to it.
Because I had the wildest thought of doing the class in a small area and doing it live as I'm traveling, and then as people see the traveling to make and take, that they can actually be excited about be coming to the area and signing up for those classes that they're going to come to, because there'll be a small area of people that can do it and
Yeah,
sharing it with them.
I love it. Absolutely. So you can do pretty much all of these recipes you can do ahead of time, and the only variable is what essential oils go in it. Yep. And for a first time class, I might recommend that, because if folks coming in are like, what do we do? You're just going to be the, what do we call it? The the behind the scenes troubleshooter. That's kind of what I felt like my first class, because I hadn't pre-made anything. So all the ingredients were on the table, but people are like, "Oh, what do I do with this? And what do I do with that?" And so it was like all I was doing for 2 hours was answering questions, and I felt like it was troubleshooting, right? And there were all these problems, but it wasn't really problems. It was just people wondering what to do. So, yes, pre-making some stuff can be great.
Excellent. Thank
Yep.
you.
Yep. And what I would say too is that if you don't pre-make it, or even if you do, have your recipe. So like for instance, these ingredients, just type it up on a sheet of paper and just have it there at your station, because people can take a picture of it so that they know what's in their stuff. And so that's a great way to do it too. Is don't leave out all the guesswork, and just go ahead and have each of your recipes printed up.
Or another thought is actually having all the pre-made bundles and stuff with the recipes on, so all they're having to do is just add their oils and stuff, and they have all their fancy stuff
Yeah,
already done. I mean, some
absolutely.
people are like that. They like it already going into the store and having it wrapped already for them.
Yep, yep. That absolutely agree. So if you pre-make all your stuff, you already have the labels there printed out, and you've got the recipe printed out just so they know what's in it. That is the simplest way to do this, honestly. Yeah. See, genius. It takes a lady who travels around in a beautiful camper van to think of all the small details.
No, because I'm thinking to myself, they're gonna want to just sit around and chat and have Ninja Red for crying out loud. They're not gonna want to do all that.
Yeah, yeah. You may have a group that really doesn't want to do any work, and in that case, go ahead and pre-make your items.
Well, it's like having most of the work done, but letting them do at least just one of the items that they at their leisure if they so choose. Otherwise, they could just say,
Yep.
"I'll just take the ones you got done. That's okay."
For
Thank you.
sure. Yeah. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. No, that's good. So this is a really amazing moisture balm. It's a little bit more intensive. Um, so with this one, I do a third of coke. Okay, so your base is 1/3 coconut oil, 1/3 shea butter, 1/3 beeswax. I buy a gallon of coconut oil at HEB, which is our grocery store, and then I buy the organic shea butter and organic beeswax online. And so as long as I have the same amount roughly of both of those, I'll get like a pound of beeswax, a pound of shea butter, and a gallon of coconut oil, and that makes about 36 4-ounce little jars. The jars you see here are only 2 ounce. So those are kind of bigger, fatter, shorter ones. But yeah, and so this is what I do once a year is I make this moisture balm, and it can be fun to do with the make and take is as long as you know don't get overwhelmed with kind of the process of it. But basically what you do is you take those three base ingredients and melt it down on a pan on the stove. You don't want it to boil. So as long as it gets heated up and everything emulsifies in there, you take the pan off of the heat, and you can either put your essential oils in that big batch, or you can ladle it into your little 4-ounce glass jars or your little 2-ounce glass tins, whatever you decide. And people can put their own essential oils in there. So I recommend about a good amount of oil would be like 20 drops for a 4-ounce container. So maybe 5 frankincense, 5 sandalwood, 5 cedarwood, 5 lavender, something like that. And again, these are just a few basic oils, but you can look up in your reference book or just see what skin oils you have and decide to include those. So again, you can choose your essential oils for this, but this balm is so amazing. I have pretty dry skin, and when I put this on after showering, if I use it 3 times in a row after showering, it helps keep the moisture in my skin. It's really interesting. So it kind of creates that moisture barrier. And then because I have drier skin, it may not be something that a person with really moist skin uses on their face, but personally, I use it on my face, and then I put it on my hands and get my cuticles nice and good and go to sleep like that. Yeah, Debbie, go ahead.
Okay, so you use it on other parts because I kept thinking of it being as an alternate to our lip balm. And I was like,
Mhm.
And so when you were saying different parts of your body, I'm thinking, oh, that's brilliant. Using
Yeah.
it in a variety of places.
Yep, yep. In the summertime, I put it all over my arms, all over my legs, all over my chest, because as women, we think about moisturizing our face, but you don't want to get the creaky neck and, the chest. So do this and this with it, and it's just amazing.
So we get our décolleté as well, right?
Yes, yes. There you go. I was searching for that word. Yep, yep. And on the bottoms of your feet, it's really good for like dry feet, cracking feet. You've been walking on sand, hot, whatever. Um, Guys love this. This is a really good guy's gift and Maybe leave out like your geranium and your ylang-ylang because those are a little more girly, flowery smells. But if you put in some really good like cedarwood, lavender, and frankincense, are amazing ones for the skin. Guys that have like, they work a lot with their hands, they wash their hands a lot. People that work in any sort of industries where they have to soap and water their hands a lot, this is a lifesaver. Yeah, yeah.
That is just great news because I was like, I have never heard of this before. And I'm like, with all those combinations, I'm like, I'm in. That sounds like
Mhm.
fun.
Yep, yep. Another tip too is because of the beeswax, once this, you melt it down, you add your oils, you put it in the jar. If your house is like under 75 degrees, it's gonna emulsify, it's going to harden in about 2 to 4 hours. Um, to speed up the process, you can put it in the refrigerator. So if you've got folks over at your house and you make this when they're there, take like a cookie sheet, put a bunch of your jars on the cookie sheet and put it in the fridge, and it will like cool down in about 30 minutes and it will harden. So what I have to do is um, if you just take your finger kind of like this, it's more of like you get your lip balm. If you take your nail and you scrape it backwards, I should go grab one of my balms. But anyways, if you take your nail and scrape it backwards, it's gonna pile up on your finger, right? And then just put it in the palm of your hand. And when you rub your hands together, that's gonna warm it up and turn it back into more of a liquid. And so it's just because of that beeswax and shea butter and coconut oil in there, right? They get solid. So that's what I do is I backwards scrape it in my hand, do this number, and then it turns back into that really rubbable type of a moisture cream.
Excellent. Thank you very much for the demonstration because that makes more sense.
Yeah. I had a gal go, I can't get enough. And she's looking at it like this. I'm like, oh, okay, I'm sorry. I didn't share my tip with you. You gotta backwards scrape it.
Love it.
So funny. So funny. Okay, you can go ahead and take a picture of this. This is a very simple room spray. If you have your 2-ounce bottle, and there's some super cute ones out there. There's some blue ones I've done in the past. And you do your 2 ounces of purified water, a solubilizer. I'll talk more about that in a minute. And then 15 to 30 drops of your essential oils. There's your room spray. So again, pretty simple. Here's the details of how to do a room spray. This over here in number 3, the polysorbate 20 or your Solubol, acts as a dispersing agent. And so that is what is recommended by a lot of folks to do, your expert room sprays. So just take a picture of that and you can find those definitely on Amazon, possibly like, a local store. And just a little bit of it. You don't need to add a ton of it. But there we go. And so kind of what this says is this recipe is meant for short-term use and it does not contain a preservative. If adding alcohol as a stabilizer, room spray can be stored longer, up to 6 months. So you can use the type of alcohol that is like an ingredient. Yes, go ahead, Mia, if you're able to talk.
I was thinking, could you use colloidal silver instead of alcohol to preserve?
Yes, I think that would be a good idea. Mm-hmm. Yep, I don't see anything wrong with that. That's a great thing for the skin as well.
Yes, I love it.
Yeah, good. Okay, there we go. Cool. Go ahead and take a picture of this because these are just some great recipes. We don't need to talk through all this, but check it out.
Someone told me about doing the new moon with water on the earth and stuff when the new moon comes through, and I do it with glass jars. And they said to use that with your aerosol spray stuff. And I'm thinking, oh, here we go, because I guess it's gave higher frequency, I'm assuming, to the water or whatever doing that. And I never heard of that until recently. and I was like, oh, this is exciting because I had a lot of quart-sized jars in our little travel vehicle, and I was like filling them up with filtered water and then getting it, frequent with the earth. And I'm like,
Sure.
sweet.
So you would take the glass jar that's filled with water and you would just set it on the earth for a while?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. It makes sense. You've probably studied it more than I have, but that
Well,
aspect of energy.
a friend was actually telling us about it on a Zoom, one of our Young Living family members in our group and stuff. And she's like, she called it new moon water. And I'm like, I've never heard this phrase. And she told me what she did with the good filtered water and then put it only in glass on the ground. And I go, well, I heard of earthing because I earth all the time. She
Sure.
goes, do this with your water and it helps with and I'm going, it actually improved the taste of the water, which was very interesting when I drank it. I was like, oh, this is delicious.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Thank you for sharing. That's wonderful.
You're welcome.
Well, let's see what else. I know we're close to our time, you guys. Okay. So what I don't have is a hair oil or a beard oil, but maybe I can share those in the Royal Dream Team later. Because there's some great recipes for beard oil, and you can probably just go online and find it. But those would be additional sprays that you could use. Your 2-ounce bottle, and then we used to use the sandalwood hydrosol, but I think we're out of that or it's discontinued. So using like the Lavaderm spray, not the after sun spray, but just the lavender one is a good base. And then you can add, so for hair, for women's hair, oh my goodness, adding some extra lavender, cedarwood, and rosemary. Those three, lavender, cedarwood, and rosemary. Juniper is good for folks as well, especially if they have had COVID and have experienced some hair falling out after that. That is a really good spray. So putting probably, again, if you're doing very liberal amount, I would do 10 drops of each. 10 drops lavender, 10 drops rosemary, 10 drops cedarwood. For me personally, I might put 20 drops of each of those oils in your 2-ounce spray bottle and then just kind of spritzing it on the roots of your hair, definitely before bed at night type of thing, because your hair may be oily enough in the morning that you want to wash it. However, that is a really good formula to help with healthy hair growth. Yes, Mary Lewis.
Yes. Do you use a glass bottle when you use it, or is it a plastic one? I can't see because it's the same here. If you dilute it, do you have to use glass?
Okay, so I recommend glass, although it wouldn't hurt to do it in a plastic bottle. I know that Young Living's is it Lavaderm? I believe it's Lavaderm, comes in a plastic. It's like a very hard plastic. So you could do hard plastic. The oils aren't going to eat through the plastic. But you wouldn't be able to use that same bottle for anything else because it would definitely soak in the oils that are in it.
Thank you.
Yeah, yeah. And again, you could use a 2-ounce bottle, you could use a 4-ounce bottle. I think for the make and takes, generally I go for the smaller size just because of cost, right? But if you're doing it for personal uses, usually I end up getting some bigger bottles, stash it away, and at the end, whatever I've got left over, I make my own mixtures of stuff for longer use. Yeah. Okay, so we've got that. If you want to take any pictures of this is my wonderful apple cider recipe that I've done for years and years.
Yay,
And
thanks for sharing.
yay, you're welcome.
I love it.
Totally. Yeah, this is so fragrant. Oh my goodness. So I get the gallon of apple juice, and it's got to be like as unprocessed as possible. You don't want like your really see-through-y apple juice. It's got to be like super unprocessed. And so I just pour a whole gallon of apple juice in a big pot, And if you want to add some pineapple juice, you can. You could even add cranberry juice, or you could add Ningxia Red. Either of those are really good. And then I do the 5 drops clove vitality, 5 drops cinnamon bark vitality, 5 drops nutmeg, and 5 drops orange vitality. And so delicious. Now, for looks, you could take some oranges and I'll slice an orange and put the slices of orange in there. And then maybe I'll get some clove buds and I'll put some clove buds on top of the orange or floating in the water. The clove isn't for flavoring so much as just the ambiance and the look of it.
Gotcha.
How you can make it really
Okay.
pretty. Yep. Okay.
Every time you brought that up, I was like, that sounds so good. Now I get to see a picture of going, that looks good now.
Totally. Oh, so here's a fun cheese ball. Go ahead and take a picture because we're running out of time. I won't talk through it.
I have a question for us non-dairy people. What would
Yeah.
you use instead?
Oh, instead of cheese. Hmm. Hmm.
Because we do actually have goat cheese that I've been able to use along instead, and they're in Myers. I know in the South there's no Myers, but that
Hmm.
I know of. But
Hmm.
I was just trying to figure that out for individuals that are dairy sensitive.
Yes. Goat feta would work really well.
Okay.
Yep. And so basically, if you just did your goat feta, no cream cheese, and then you would add your 2 tablespoons of chopped chives, your pecans, and again, nuts are optional. If you know that
Yep.
anybody in the group has allergies, leave them out. But then things like your marjoram, sage, and black pepper vitality oils. Go ahead. Was there a question?
I thought I heard something too.
I did too. Okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
I think Denise is unmuted, so maybe there was something from her. I saw that blipped out.
Okay. Okay. Gotcha.
I was trying to check the chat. There was nothing in the chat, so I wasn't sure if she put something in there.
Okay.
So,
Okay.
all right.
Yeah, so those
But thank you.
basics of adding your chives, your pecans, and then your essential oils and just mixing all that together, you could definitely do your goat feta with that.
Oh yeah, I'm looking forward to that. And I'll report back and let you know because that
Yeah,
just yummy.
good,
Sounds so good.
good. Yep. And then it definitely works well to wrap it in a ball and then saran wrap it, put it in the fridge because you want it to be cold when you serve it.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Or whatever crackers you like.
It's
Yep.
kind of bumming me because I know saran wrap is plastic, right? So I'm wondering
Yeah.
if I could, I'm like, and the aluminum's never the best. So I'm thinking, is it the PVA free plastic bags that I use that I recycle with that I could do that? I
Yeah.
don't know.
Mm-hmm. You could do that. You could do that.
Okay.
Honestly, the thought of using your saran wrap is just because you can shape it really well. But I'm not
Oh,
so
first.
worried about the shape. I mean, my goodness,
Oh,
you could even make it in a stainless steel bread pan if you wanted to,
oh,
something like that. Or muffin tins. You can make it in large
ooh.
muffin tins and maybe have several of those.
That's
That
a
would
great
work.
idea.
Yeah. So then you'd have little balls line a tray with several little balls that you made in a muffin tin would work.
Yeah,
Go us. Look at us.
I
We're
love
just
it.
so amazing. Oh my gosh. Here's a neat recipe. You can take a picture if you'd like. These are delicious. I've made these before.
I love our icorn stuff. Oh my gosh. We love those berries, those 5-pound bag berries.
Mhm.
Oh, they rock.
So good.
If nobody's ever done that, you guys have to buy them and try them because they are so delicious.
Yeah.
And I love our cereal because I used to like making Rice Krispie treats and I use the icorn cereal to make the organic dairy-free Rice Krispie treats.
That's a great idea. Good going. Yeah,
Yeah,
cool.
yums.
Um,
We do come up with a lot of variations. Ooh,
We do. Here
yum.
we go. Here's a fun spritzer. An ounce of Ningxia Red, 1 to 2 ounces of cranberry juice, 2 to 4 ounces of club soda, lemon wedges, and raspberry. Now, instead of club soda, you could do Ningxia Zing.
Mm.
The simplest thing is a can of Zing or a half a can of Zing with an ounce of Ningxia Red.
Ooh.
Add a drop or two of extra orange oil to it, and mwah, you have the simplest, easiest drink out there.
Love
So, yep, there we go. Zing,
It's
Ningxia Red, orange oil. Bam.
it's oh my gosh. I'm just laughing because all I could think about was you got the club soda, and if you really want to get fancy, you can get your little tiny tonic water and
Yep.
stuff and add that instead.
Yeah, absolutely. That's a neat brand too.
Yes.
Yep, yep. So at the last gathering that Mother hosted at her fundraiser, she has a beautiful glass dispenser, you know, like a water dispenser. And so we had 35 people at the event. So, I mean, we figured out the ratio, but basically each person, we made enough so that it was per person 4 ounces of Ningxia Zing, an ounce of Ningxia Red, and, you know, and then in the whole drink, we added several drops of the orange oil. So you do
Ooh.
that. Yep. You do that. So like for each can of Zing, you would basically do like 2 ounces of Ningxia Red.
Excellent.
An ounce to 2. Depends
Yeah.
how cost-wise and whatnot. But
Right.
pre-make that up in a great batch, whether it's in a pitcher or a pour thing, and that is a great drink to have at your events.
Or anytime around in your house, just to enjoy sitting around having a nice beverage. Because
For
I'm
sure. Oh
thinking,
yeah. Oh yeah. No,
I
we
don't need an event for that one.
You don't need an event to do our Zing and Ningxia. Come on now. Yep. It's fun to float some fruit in it. Float your raspberries. Frozen peaches are really good because the flavor of the peach, but the frozenness of the peach actually acts as an ice cube.
Really? Because I was thinking this is so funny. It's throwing you all off on thoughts of what we do is we take our fruit our dried fruits that we get organic at the store. We'll take and I'll soak them and then I'll freeze them. So they're like our frozen fruit ice cubes for our smoothies.
Yep.
And sometimes we will put them into our little drinks for our ice cubes. So your Ninja Red is a frozen plumped up drink that you can chew on while you're sipping.
Yep. Yep. Exactly. No, that's a great idea too. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Cool. Wow, guys. Okay.
Oh, the bomb.
Let's see here.
Oh.
The Zing Bomb. So this is your 1 can of Ningxia Zing and your 2 ounces of Ningxia Red. This
Oh,
is,
yeah.
yeah. So this would work, making this in a large batch. There you go. Here's a fun iced tea recipe.
Ooh.
An ounce of Ningxia Red and 8 ounces of unsweet iced tea, and you can add honey to taste. You can also add some vitality oils to taste if you'd like. And then we're done because we're 15 minutes over
Sorry,
time.
I
Go on.
feel like I added to your presentation. My apologies.
No worries. This was great.
There was so much fun that we had of things that was popping up in my mind. I'm like, I gotta share.
Please, this is what it's all about. Does anyone else have questions, comments, thoughts?
Just to say thank you. This was brilliant. Now I'm hungry.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
Oh, you're
It's
so
a
welcome.
joy to meet you, ladies, and feel free to take my number and call me if you have any questions on the signal and stuff to join, because it is a fun alternate, and we've been talking a lot over there, haven't we, Elizabeth?
Yes. The Signal group works really well for Apple phones, Android phones, and in between countries.
And on your desktop, yes, you can do
Is
all
it-
of that with it.
Is
So-
Signal sort of calling for free in between countries as the same as Aha? Didn't know
Yes,
You can make phone calls and you can do video calls as well on Signal.
and text and audio, which is great because I do a lot of communication with team members through that because it's quick and easy. They have a question, I can send them a video back or an audio back, and they feel very connected with me doing it that way. Yeah, I love
all over the world.
Mm-hmm. Yep. So that's why we have our group now. So when you come over there and stuff, that's why I sent my number so that way I can add you to my phone. Because if we don't have your number in our phones, we can't see that you're added, and then we can't send you over to that group. So that's how it's very private.
Okay.
I let Mia do it first, and then she tells me how it works, and then
All right.
we talk to each other about it.
Haha, I'm so techie. Yeah. Mm.
Well, Mia, if you want to send me over your number right away, I could, in a private chat before we leave, I can at least go over there so that way you don't have to share on video.
There we go. I'm gonna go ahead and stop the